Thank you so much, Bill, for joining us from Cape Town. My dear listener, with me this evening, I'm joined by Bill Knight. You have listened to his music over the past few weeks and past few months, so he's a regular on our show. Let's welcome Bill to join us from Cape Town to give us a bit about himself, but also about his music. He has a very special song for us this evening. Hello, Bill.
Hello, Saul.
How are you?
Really, really good. Thank you. It's very early here in Cape Town, but it's good to be meeting you at last.
Yes, same here. Yeah, we've been talking over the phone and through text messages for many, many months. And finally, I get to see your face. Okay, just tell us a little bit about yourself and your music.
Okay. I was born in Botswana. Uh, I'm 65 years old now. And I've been listening to African music ever since I can remember. Um, they have a particular style of guitar playing in Botswana that's obviously very closely linked to the blues. So I grew up listening to that. I grew up listening to Miriam Makeba and Hugh Masekela. And then I got on to Bakwanga music, Matatini and the Maitela Queens, Magone Choshle Band. And I've followed African music all my life.
And then you decided to become a musician.
Yes.
Tell us about that journey.
I must have been about 16, and I was given a guitar for a birthday, and slowly started working my way around it. And yes, that's where it started. And then I must have been about 18 or so. I came across lyrical writers like Bob Dylan and Leonard Cohen. And I realized that music and lyric were very closely connected. And that the musicians that I enjoyed were storytellers, which takes us back to our very, very early roots of mankind. When people would sit around the fire and tell stories, explain why things were the way they were, and develop a community and an understanding of humanity and life.
How many albums do you have in the market? And what inspires you to write a song?
I have, I think, 10 albums out now. Some are solo. Two of them are a collaboration with another writer. And then more recently, I have a three-piece band called the Old Dogs. We produced our first album 2 years ago. And we are very, very close now to going into the studio to record our second album.
Our listeners are dying to hear the song that you have in store for them. I've already appetized, them by saying that you have a very special song to play for them tonight. Introduce the song to us.
The song is called "Who Are the Africans?" Oh no, it's not. It's the other. It's called Harbor. It's written about a small harbor very close to where I live called Cork Bay. And it was written after my first wife and I separated. And it's basically about coming to terms with the breakup of a relationship, but also a relationship that I have with the sea. I'm not really a water person. They call me a landlubber or shore party. But I have an enormous respect for the sea and for people who go out on the sea, people who make their living out of fishing. So basically, that's what the song is about. And it's a mix of my own perspective. You know, I think we are complex beings. We have all kinds of influences. So, you know, my influences come from my Celtic roots, from my experience in Africa, from African people, from the Bushmen, from the so-called Cape Colored people. All of that comes into the mix because that's all a part of who I am.
Yes, indeed. I always tell people that writing is very therapeutic. I spent a year in hospital, 7 months of those fully paralyzed. But as soon as I regained my mobility, I started writing about my experience in hospital. So I spent the extra 5 months writing about my experiences and my life. And that was a way for me to escape from my reality, but at the same time to also accept my reality. And I'm glad that you also had to deal with your separation through writing. But I also love the title of this song, The Harbor, because the harbor basically means you are taking off into the seas on a voyage, you are visiting other destinations. So I may be noted to say that perhaps breaking up with her, um, this song basically meant that you were undertaking a new journey of life, both figuratively and also literally.
Absolutely.
So dear listener, let's listen to this piece from Bill Knight, and thank you very much, Bill, for having joined us this evening.
Thank you, Saul.
Don't okay, don't go away now. May we record the promo and the jingle that I sent to you?
Okay. I'll do that now.
Yes.
I'm Bill Knight.
Oh, sorry. Start from scratch again. I'm so sorry.
I'm Bill Knight. Please join Saul Molobi every Sunday at 5 p.m. for Sunset Serenade as he explores the jazz music genre and culture.
Thank you. Then the other one.
I'm Bill Knight, and you are listening to Sunset Serenade with Saul Molobi.
Thank you very much, Bill. You can stop the recording. My name is Saul Molobi of High FM. This is an interview with Bill Knight, one of our legendary musicians. He's going to take us through his journey into music, but he will also unpack and deconstruct various jazz idioms and how they impacted on him producing such unique sounds that our listeners and music revelers in general enjoy. Hello, Bill.
Hello, Saul.
Thank you so much for joining me this morning on the 21st of June 2023. Over to you.
Thank you so much, Saul. And I just want to say at this point, thank you so much for all that you're doing to promote jazz music, to promote African music, to heighten awareness of the wealth of culture that we have inherited.
Thank you.
Music has been a part of my life from ever since I could remember. I remember sitting in the kitchen in my parents' home in Lubatsi in Botswana, listening to Miriam Makeba, listening to Matlatini and the Mayatala Queens, to Masakela. And then in 1966, I was sent down to boarding school in Cape Town. And started broadening my scope. I got to about 16 or so, discovered the guitar, and discovered creative writing and discovered the importance of words. I came across a writer called Mervyn Peake, who wrote a book called Gormenghast, that awoke me completely to the power of words. And then from then on, I discovered the Welsh poet Dylan Thomas, and then the American folk singer Bob Dylan. And from them, I learned again a deepening fascination with the power of words, with the power of poetry, with the power of storytelling. After my schooling, I went on to Rhodes University, and I became involved in social activism, in protest music. And we were very, very spoiled there as far as being exposed to some of the most wonderful music that still lives with me today. Philip Malombo and the Mala Poets, Spirits Rejoice, Joy, just the most wonderful, wonderful music that stirs me up and inspires me. And as I mentioned earlier, storytelling and folk music take us back to our very earliest roots of mankind, sitting around the fireside, exchanging stories, the elders passing their wisdom on to the younger members, and celebrating a sense of community, which is why I decided to take the music further, not just to be a musician, but to be a musical activist. And what I mean by that is to promote other musicians. We are all connected to one another. We have, I believe, a common purpose. And that's what inspired me to start my little club that I run from my home, called the Cottage Club, where I feature singer-songwriters, musicians of various genres, but just out of a belief that if I didn't do it, nobody else was going to. So I believe it's important to keep promoting local music. South Africans for many, many years have had a chip on their shoulder about their own music. We make a great big song and dance about overseas musicians, and they'll come out here and they'll pay to packed houses and packed stadia. But we tend to neglect our own musicians, and I think that's a tragedy. And I think it's a hangover from the shame of the apartheid era. But we have a new dispensation, we have new hope, and we have something to share with the world. And also, we had become so isolated from ourselves, from the rest of the world, and most importantly, from the rest of Africa. And Africa itself has a wealth of music. The blues itself came from Africa with the slave trade, developed in America, and then been returned and retransported back to the world, back to Africa. And I think that's tremendously exciting. I went to see a concert last weekend by a friend of mine, Derek Gripper, who is a fantastic guitarist, grew up as a classical guitarist, but he has developed an interest in traditional African music, especially kora music, and he's transposed a great deal of that onto guitar. And it was a wonderful, wonderful experience to hear him play, to hear him explain where the music came from, and why it's so important for him to be following it.
No, thank you so much. And by the way, I will be playing him this Sunday also. And in fact, I have a big surprise for him because I have Diamani Toubate singing the same song that he will be doing the cover version of it, Rabaji. So I'm going to play first, and then after I'll also play immediately. I'll also play him. And thanks to Amanda for introducing me to his music. It's excellent. Yes. No, thank you so much for this interview, and it will go into our archives, but in future we'll keep on borrowing snippet from it and then playing them on the radio. Yeah. Thank you. And I'm just going to make Uncle Frank very envious that I spoke to you because I didn't tell him. So I want to surprise him to say, hey, I saw Bill. We had a virtual conference today.
Wonderful. Please send him my warm regards.
Okay, thank you so much. You can stop the recording and then we will chat offline.